Hi, this is Sam from Sam's Dream Themes, and today I'm going to show you how to edit with this cute little Easter bunny background. This is the file that you'll be receiving. It's a JPEG, and you open it by going File, Open, and then finding the picture that you received. So like, for example, it'll look like that. And there we go. And I don't need a copy of that. But yeah, so then you'll open the file up, and the next thing we're going to do is place a cutout person on it. If you have not already cut out your person, I do have a lesson for that on my YouTube page, so you can just go to that page where this video comes from as well, and you can look for how to use the cutout tool, and it will show you how to get the cutout of your person very nicely. So I have a cutout person, and I'm going to go to File, Place Linked, and I will find where I put it. And I've got this little girl right here that I'm going to use. This path is big enough for 2 adults to walk on. And so this is going to be too big for this little girl. So I'm going to take the corner and drag it down and make her smaller. And that looks like a much better size. And I want her facing the rabbit a bit more, so I'm actually going to hit Command T and then Control. I think that, yeah, Control would be the same on both a Mac and a PC. And then I'm going to flip horizontal. And I'll just turn her a little bit. And there, I like that placing a little bit more. And when I'm ready to place her, I'm going to hit return. And I'm just going to look and make sure she's on the sharp ground, which she is. I want her on the sharpest part of the ground, the focal point, which is this middle area. I don't want to bring her up into this blurry area, nor back there. I want her right at the focal point. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to layer 1, which is our base, and I'm going to hit Command J. Command J makes a copy of it, and then I will go over here and I'm going to hold it down. This one's actually the one I want, and I want the burn tool. And the first one I'm going to start out with is highlights. Exposure 29 is pretty high, but it should be fine for this. And I'm just going to take my brush, my burn tool, and I'm going to hold the mouse button down, whatever you're using, your tablet button, and I'm going to hold it down and just rub it back and forth. And you can see a shadow is starting to come up there just a little bit. And then I will go to midtones, and I'm going to get closer here. And now I'm going to start going under with the midtones. And I just want to darken the edges. Basically, this is the contact point between her shoes and the ground. And I don't want them to make a huge long shadow. I just want there to be a shadow right under her feet. And then finally, I can go in with the shadows. I'm going to make this brush really small, and just right under the shoe, the very darkest part, I'm going to make darker. And the very dark of that contact point right there, I'm going to make darker. And I'll zoom out and we'll check it out. So there's the shadows on and off, and those work well. I am happy with them. So because I'm happy with the placement, I'm happy with the shadow that I did under first, her hair, everything's looking good here. I could darken her a bit if I click on Kayla here and I go to my adjustment layers, the half circle, brightness and contrast. I'm going to click this to clip it down to Kayla and only Kayla. And I could make her a little bit darker as well. She does have darker skin, but I'm not sure she's that dark. I think I will do that, and then I can do some lightening afterward. I would recommend saving at this point what you've got and save it as a Photoshop file. And now that I know I'm happy with everything, for sure, I'm going to flatten. The next thing I'm going to do is work on the skin. You received some actions to help you out with this. They are free. They're kind of like a sample pack of larger action sets that I sell, but they will definitely get you through this composite. So you're going to go to Window, Actions, and your Actions panel will show up. And if you go to the corner here, it will let you load actions. And then you can see, I think it will be called the Christmas collection because that's when I introduce these, but maybe I should recall it like Santa Pack or the sample pack. There is a video as well. If you just want to work on learning how to use these actions, there is a video that comes included as well. But right now, if you double click on this, it will add these actions to your thing. And then you'll see that the actions all have arrows beside them. You'll just click the arrow and that will open them up. And the first one we'll go to is Skin Smoother. So I'm just selecting that and I'm pressing the play button right here. And it's going to give you some options here. First, clone and heal here. So if I go up close to her, I think I've already done cloning on her. Yeah, I don't think she's got any like bruises or scrapes on her. But if she did, what I could do is just take this spot healing tool right here and say she had a scrape on her leg, I could just click and drag it down and it would completely get rid of it. And if she had like any sort of like hairs coming across her eyes or whatever, I could fix that by doing this. This one says don't touch, and this one says soften here. So clicking on the black box, not over here, but on the black box, we're going to use a white brush, and at 51% is perfect. I'm going to make this smaller, and I'm going to go around and just paint it on her skin. And I'll avoid any areas that need to stay sharp. I'll also avoid the edges of things. So for example, the edges of her nose. I'm just really going in the larger flat areas and smoothing the skin out. This will still keep the texture of the skin, but it will make it a little more blurry and give that kind of professional edge. So I'll do that with all of her skin. You really don't want to go beyond 51% or so. It can start making people look like they're made of plastic. And I do like a painterly look, but plastic look is no good. And just going through and finishing up the rest of that skin. And then I can, or you can, go here and just put on and off the eye beside the skin, and it will show you how much it blurred it. It did dull it down a little bit, but we'll be fixing that afterward. I am happy with that. So I'm going to go to Layer, Flatten. The next thing we'll do is the Sugar Glow skin tones. So I'm going back up to this play place right here. This is where my actions are, or window actions. And I will go to 13 Paint on Skin Tones and run that. And you see this set is going to look completely different. It has a whole bunch of colors here listed. They go from dark at the top to light at the bottom. So there are 13 tones for every ethnicity. And this little girl's skin is more of a sand or a nutmeg. And so I will go in with a brush, white brush again, clicked on the black square here, opacity 51%. And I will go in, and you can see this is kind of warming up her skin. I should mention that you're going to want a soft brush to do these. Mine is already like automatically on a soft brush, and you can change the hardness here, but the hardness should be 0. Oh, excuse me. So I'm going through and warming up that skin. And we'll do a few things here with the skin, but this is the first one. And you can just kind of experiment and see what would be the best skin color for your person. Okay, and then we'll do the legs. And this will usually do some color correcting as well. If the skin is kind of a bit too red or a bit too turquoise, it's not going to be perfect. I have a set of color correctors as well that I include. But this will definitely bring the skin out and make it pop and make it look nicer. So there's before and after. I'm happy with that. And the other thing I'm going to do is I am going to go in with some blush. I'll leave it on 51% and just the littlest bit on her face. And I will go with Warm Glow, and I'm just going to do this on the brighter areas of her skin. Anywhere where there's a little bit of a highlight already, I'm just making a bit brighter. I'll usually do cheeks as well. Definitely the nose, because you want the nose to pop from the face. The chin. It is a bit brighter up on her shoulders. You're just looking for anywhere where it's naturally brighter because of the way that the sun is hitting. We will do more with what's called dodging and burning later, making things lighter and darker to give a little bit of oomph. But right now, this is just kind of the first one. That's a little bit strong. And there we go. Now her skin also has some depth. And I can click this on and off, and that gives you an idea about the depth. So she's looking brighter. That is awesome. I'm happy. Layer, flatten. You can go through and do the eyes and stuff too if you want. I might as well right now. Play. I'm going to open this up, and to brighten and make them pop, I'm going to start with about 75% with a white brush and just make it small. Her eyes are kind of squinted here anyway. And you can also do a sharpen up around as well. I do find the sharpening makes it a little bit darker. I'm going to leave that for right now. Layer, flatten. And she does have nice white teeth, but I could do pearly white teeth and go to whiten if there's any yellow. Her mom is one of my best friends. She's a dentist, so I guess the teeth don't get so yellow. But I will whiten and brighten them there. And then layer, flatten. And that is pretty good. I do give you some options as well. Before we do the final dodge and burn, I do give you some options. So for example, I noticed some magenta right there on her legs. I could go to magenta reduction and press play and run it, and then just go over the magenta areas with a white brush. Now, if it's not picking that up, it might not be magenta, because this should be getting rid of it. So I will flatten that. And I could also try red reduction. And you can see that that is pretty severe. I'll bring the opacity down here. And I can just reduce that a little bit. I could also go back and paint it in with the skin tone. Layer flatten. And then I do have some actions, just a little snippet here of ones that you could use. So the nutcracker, you can just select that and then press play. And it'll change the overall tones of your picture a little bit more and make it a little bit warmer and browner if you kind of want that like more of a Peter Rabbit kind of look. It's a Wonderful Life will brighten it, and that's obviously a lot, but I could take the opacity here and bring it down so that it goes from this and just brighten slightly. So that's another possibility. Christmas Past, this is going to really turn this into kind of a vintage look. And again, I can change the opacity. It's not personally one I would be using for this picture, but if you want more of a vintage scene, you can do that. And if you don't like it, just hit delete. Moon Dance and Night Jewel you won't use for this, but Moon Dance is like for night style pictures. Unless you wanted to do that. And then Night Jewel will make it darker. And then you can, of course, adjust things if you wish. But the one, I'm actually happy with it this way. I like the clean tones for it. So the last thing I'm going to do is a little bit of dodging and burning. So I'm going to click dodge and burn and run it. Open this up here. And it says paint with white. So you're going to change your brush to white right here. And you're going to make 100% opacity and 5% flow. And anything that's light on here is going to get lighter, and anything dark will get darker after we burn. So painting on with light first, and going in with my white, and just any single area that is lighter, I'm going to go over. And this is the secret that every professional photographer uses in order to make their subject pop out and to make the really popular painterly look of the moment. If you look at masterpieces of times past, they were doing a lot of this as well. Caravaggio, anything from Baroque art had kind of these dramatic lights and these darker darks. If it's putting on too much white, you can just reduce that a little bit. You can reduce the flow and fix it up. And yeah, I can see that even 3% flow right now is plenty for what we're doing. A bit much. And sometimes it does become a little bit dramatic. And we can always tone this down, and I'll show you how afterward. Sometimes I'll go through this like I normally do, and I think, oh, that looks sweet. And then I'll take a step back and think, oh, what did I do to this person? Leave those. Usually there's a little bit of white on top of eyebrows. And I'll even get a little bit out of the hair there. Okay, so there's the lights, and ooh, they might be a little bit bright on the face. Yes, they are. I'm going to take the opacity of these lights and reduce them. And now on, off, on, off. I need to do some on the leg as well. And sometimes it is nice to step back and take a look at what you're doing. And now I'll go to the dark, so I'm going to go to Paint Black, switch this to a completely black brush. Same thing, 100% opacity. We'll do 3% flow for this one because it seems to be coming on strong. Yeah. And then now I'm just going in and I'm darkening any of the shadows. And any shadows are just getting that little bit darker. And that's too much. I'm going to leave that alone. We'll go under there a little bit. And then I'm going to reduce my opacity a bit so that I can get into this area and darken it, but not too much. And darken the top of her hair a bit more so it doesn't look gray. All the little bits. And there we go. And she's all blended up. And if I wanted, I could just go in, because I did that nice painterly look on her, I might want to go into the rabbit just a bit more and make the rabbit a little bit more dramatic for at least the darks. I'm pretty happy with the highlights. And just make that rabbit pop out more. So now we can see before dodging and burning and after. Before, after. And you might like before more. It totally depends on your taste. And again, sometimes if I think I've overdone it, I'll just go and I'll click this whole thing. Actually, I already did the whites, but I could bring down the blacks a little bit as well. And then check the whole thing over. And there is our painterly edit of adding this girl into the forest. So I will flatten that down. And then again, if I wanted to go back and play with some of these actions, then that is possible. And then you could do something like that, and that can help blend things. And maybe you pick up some of my other actions, or maybe you find actions from somebody else. I do make my own, and I do like using other people's actions. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And then once you're very happy with the final product, layer flatten, and this time you will save it as a JPEG, and you'll be good to go. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I somewhat check my YouTube comments, not very often, but if you email me, Samantha at samsdreamthemes.com, you will be able to reach myself or my husband Colin, who runs the business side, and we will be very happy to help you out. Take it easy and have an awesome Easter.